I'm Steve Johnson, Farm and Ag Business Management Specialist with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach. Let's take a look at marketing tools, starting with futures. Futures are a standardized contract traded on the Chicago Board of Trade that farmers can use to reduce price risk by hedging. Hedging is defined as taking an equal and opposite position in the futures market than you have in the cash market. Hedging typically involves three steps. Number one, sell futures contracts today with a delivery time later in the year. Again, the likelihood thinking that futures price will decline, so we're first selling futures. Number two, buy back the futures just before the delivery time. The potential for the futures prices to be lower. So we're selling high and buying low. And then number three, sell the commodity in the cash market and deliver. Since we're selling the commodity in the cash market, the assumption of a futures hedge is the futures and cash prices tend to move together. We used this chart earlier. Again, the cash price was the blue line and the futures price was the red line. We said the difference between these two lines is called basis. Let's use a teeter-totter as an example of a typical hedge. A farmer sells futures and later buys back the futures contract. That's called the futures return. But remember, there was a third step. That was to sell the cash commodity. So in this example of the teeter-totter, while futures return is high, the cash price will be lower as a result of the decline in futures price. However, when we put on the hedge, we didn't know whether futures prices would go up or down. So in some cases, we might actually have a loss in the futures return. Again, the first two steps, selling futures and later buying back that futures contract. However, because futures prices increased, we actually have a higher cash price that we receive. Thus, the important consideration of futures and hedging, assuming that the futures price and cash price move together. I hope this video has been of help. I'm Steve Johnson, Farm and Ag Business Management Specialist, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach.